If I broke, now my business. For like for the night. Guys, I need help. God, I can't stop singing this song. Today I bring you a beautiful tutorial on how to make a neckline bustier for a small bust size. And trust me, it's going to be super easy, detailed, and amazing. And I'll be using this beautiful bill lace fabric. Then I'll be using a peach satin for the underlay just to pop up the color. The um bare lace is a bit dull, so I need this satin to pop up the color and everything just come out so beautiful. So here I've marked out the fabric I need, and I want it to be an off shoulder. Is an off shoulder neckline bustier. Now this client wants an off shoulder of 5 inches, so I'll mark 4.5. Okay, I'll place my tape at 4.5, then mark her bust point, which is 8 inches plus half inch, that's 8.5. I'll mark her under bust, which is 11. Okay, which is 10.5 plus half inch, that's 11. Then her half length is 14 plus half inch, that's 14.5. Okay, so I've marked out all those lines. This is the bust point, this is the under bust, and this is the half length. And from the starting point, I placed my tape at 4.5 inches because I want an off shoulder of 5 inches, so that when I'm done sewing with my lining or turning the top with the lining, I would now have an off shoulder of -5 inches. Okay, I hope you understand that. So what I'll do next would be to mark her bust span. Her bust span is 6.5. I divide that by 2 and add ½ inch seam allowance. So I'm marking that on the bust point. I would go ahead and mark it on the under bust, and I also mark it on the half length. Okay, so this is the method I want to use for a small bust. Her bust measurement is 33 inches. So while I want to give her a little bit of cup, okay, to accentuate the bust area, I also want to make sure that I don't do too much that it looks like she has so much of bust while she does not have. Just somewhere in between, just to create a balance. You understand what I mean? So I'll mark that all around from the top to the bottom, then I'll connect in a straight line. Now the most important thing to know when you're making a bustier is to know the amount of dart to take. So to the side front, I'm going to take a dart of 1 inch at the under bust and the same as the half length. Then towards the center front, I'll take a dart of ½ inch on the under bust and on the half length. Okay, so this is going to give me a small cup that will fit into the bust size of this person. Then from the bust point, I'll connect in form of a curve to the bust, under bust, and to the half length. The same way, I'll just curve from the bust point to the under bust as well for the side front, just like what I've done. Then I'll bring it down to the length of the blouse or the top. Okay, then the same dart I'll take at the upper part towards the side front. I'll still maintain my 1 inch dart, then curve from the upper part to the bust point like so. Then I also take the same dart at the center front. Okay, I also take ½ inch dart and connect it to the bust point, guys, like so. Now we are done taking the dart for this blouse, okay, or for this upper part of the dress, right? So like I said, I took 1 inch to the side front and ½ inch to the center front. Okay, so when I cut this and part, it's going to give me a cupped bustier that will still fit the bust 33, and it's just going to be so beautiful and nice. Okay, bust 33 does not have so much bust, okay, but you want to make a bustier for the person, you should use this method. So on the bust point, I'm going to mark the bust divided by 4 plus 3 inches. Okay, remember I have a small dart here, that's ½ inch, so I'll just mark that ½ inch there. Then I'll take 3 inches allowance. It's supposed to be 2 inches, but I'll need ½ inch on both sides to join the data. That would be 1 inch, so that's why I marked 3 inches allowance. On the half length, I'll mark her waist divided by 4. Her waist is 28 divided by 4, that's 7. I took a dart of 1.5 inches, so I'm going to replace 1.5 inches so that I don't have a shortage. Then I'll mark my 3 inches sewing allowance. I'll connect the bust to the waist, then take it upwards. Okay, I like to finish joining before I draft my neckline and my armhole. So what I'll just would be to go and cut this out. Okay, so you also cut through this side Okay, so remember you took a dart of 1.5. Whatever dart you take, make sure you replace it, and please cross check before you put your scissors, just so that you don't have issues when you are done joining. Okay, so I'll still go ahead and cut out the upper part. Make sure I cut out all the sides before I cut off the dart. Then when you're cutting the dart, you make sure you start cutting from the side front. Okay, from the side. So you're going to curve your hands. So you want to make sure that you follow the markings, okay? Follow your drafting to cut. I'm done with cutting the side front, so I'll also go and cut the center front, okay? Making sure to curve your hands around the bust area, because that's the region around the bust. So you want it to be very curved and not sharp. Okay, so you can see I'm done with cutting. So I'm done with cutting the front, and this is what it looks like. It's very beautiful. So from this, you already know that the outcome of your blouse is going to be so beautiful. Remember, we're making a neckline bustier. That means the bust line, the bust dart or the darts are coming towards the neckline. So I also fold the same way to cut the back. Okay, so for your folding, please, even for the front, you're going to divide your your bust measurement by 4, which is the biggest circumference. Okay, plus at least 5 inches. That's what I also did for the back. I added at least an extra 2 inches because of the zip allowance. So for the back, I've placed my tape at 4.5 and I've marked out the bust point and the half length. Then I'll take out my 1.5 inches zip allowance. Okay, so that is what I want to do. Zip allowance of 1.5, you can do as much as 2 inches. Okay, so I'll connect in a straight line like so. Okay, so remember, place your tape at 4.5 at the starting point. You mark your bust point and also mark your half length plus half-inch seam allowance. So this is our working pattern now. So on the bust point, I'm going to mark the bust divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance. Okay, plus 3 inches, because I also want to have a dart at the back that I will cut out and sew it up together. It has a really nice finishing at the back, so I like to do that. On the waist, I'll mark the waist divided by 4 plus 3 inches. Then I also mark the bust span line. So the line you are saying here is the bust span line. That's the nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. So I've marked it across from top to bottom. That's where I'll take my darts. Then from the zip allowance, I'll go up by 1 inch. This is because this is a small bust size. If it's a big bust, I can do as much as 1.5 or 2. Then I'll slant it towards the side back. Okay, this is just to eliminate back puff and zipper puff at the back of your dress. Right, so I'll cut this out. Make sure I go ahead and notch my zip allowance up and down. Okay, then I'll go and cut through the dart. There is no dart around that point. Okay, what I'll do is to notch this part so that I'll identify it easily that that's the upper part, because when you cut out the dart, you will be confused as to which part is which. Okay, so I'll go and cut out the dart like so. Then also make sure that I notch the point at the dart. Okay, the point I'm supposed to join, so that when you're joining, you don't go and turn it upside down. This is very, very important. It's very, very important, guys. Please, your notches are so important. So after doing that, I'll go and transfer the pattern to my lace fabric for both the front, the back, and make sure I also notch on the lace fabric as well. Right, so the next will be to cut the breast part, and I'm using a lightweight wadding. Okay, this is what I'm using because this is a small bust size and I don't want to overwhelm the bust with so much padding. Right, so I'll fold the fabric, this is for the center front, into 2 and place it on top of the padding, then cut up until almost 1 inch before the top of my fabric. Okay, I'll raise it up and trim off because I don't want the part to get to the neckline. This is because I'm still going to trim the neckline I want. Okay, so I don't want the neckline to get in the way when I'm joining. Okay, so I'm done cutting out the padding and I've joined the fabric. Okay, sorry guys, I lost a lot of videos when I was recording. I lost so many videos I should have added to this. Okay, I don't know what's happening to my camera, but I'm losing videos as I'm recording. Please please bear with me. So I'm done joining. Okay, I actually recorded all these things, but I lost them. I'm so sorry. So I'm not joining and ironing, and this is what it looks like. You can see the inside. I make sure I notched it and I gave it a good press. You can see the seam is laying really flat. That way you know that your bust area is going to stand so well and firm. Right, so what I'll do next would be to fold it into two and mark out my neckline. So guys, I want to show us how to calculate your neckline width. Remember, we're making a neckline bustier, okay? So I want to show us how to calculate your neckline width. So first you're going to need your shoulder circumference. For this particular client is 38 inches, okay? Then you also need your off shoulder width. I want an off shoulder of -5 inches, although I did 4.5 when I was cutting, so that when I'm done turning with my lining, it will go back to 5 inches. So like I said, I want an off shoulder of -5. Okay, so that 5 is the off shoulder width, that the one you've taken out. So remember, we need -5. Okay, so let's just say that this is the bodice we are working with. My drawing is so terrible. All right, so let's say that this is the bodice we're working with. So we did -5. So this is the 5 that we took off, okay, and this is the other 5. So this is for the front, okay, 5 for the left hand side, 5 for the right hand side. That would be 10. Okay, then the same thing is applicable for the back. Okay, so let's just say that this is the back and we're doing -5, -5. So this is 5 and this is 5, and that is 10. So 10 plus 10 would give us what? 20. So we've taken care of the sleeve. This is another way to calculate your sleeve, okay, for your off shoulder. So this would be for the sleeve, okay. Now let me talk about the sleeve a little bit before we go back to the neckline. So this would be for your sleeve. Now when you're cutting your sleeve, this is 10. It means the front has 10, the back has 10, just from what we have here. So you're going to share this into 2. So when you're cutting your off shoulder sleeve, you know this off shoulder sleeve is usually like this. Okay, so let's say this is our off shoulder sleeve. So it means from here to here would be 5 inches. This part is supposed to be on fold. So from here to here would be what? 5 inches. You know, 20 divided by 4 would give us what? 5. So for your sleeve, from here to here will be 5 inches. Then this would be your cap height, and this would be the length of your sleeve. Okay, this would be your sleeve length for when you're drafting your sleeve. Okay, so this 20 takes care of the sleeve, but we need it to do our neckline. So now that the sleeve is separate, you're going to subtract your sleeve from the round shoulder to get us the neck width. So 38 minus 20 is 18. Okay, so this 18 is going to be your neck width for both the front and the back. So it means as it's 18 now, the front would have 9, the back would have 9. I'm just trying to break it down so you'll understand, okay? So you remember 38 minus 20 gave us 18. It means the back will have 9, the front will have 9. Okay, it's the same thing as dividing 18 by 4, okay? So dividing 18 by 4 would give you 4.5. In the same now, like I said, the front would have 9, the back would have 9. If we divide 9 by 2, it will still give you 4.5. So let's say this is your fabric on fold, okay, and you want to cut your off shoulder from here to here, which is your neckline width, would now be 4.5, but you will now add half-inch seam allowance and to become 5 inches. Okay, then you can now slant your armhole. Then as well do your shape, your desired neckline width. Okay, so that is how to get your neckline width. Subtract your off shoulder width for the front and the back from your shoulder circumference or your round shoulder measurement. Then you divide whatever you have by 4. So 18 was what I got, divided by 4 gave me 4.5. So that's my off shoulder, that's my neckline width for this off shoulder. Okay, so please, my hands are dirty. I had to service my sewing machine by myself. I've been waiting for the engineer for like 3 whole days, and I needed to use the sewing machine, so I had to service it myself. So you can see my hands are really dirty, so please don't mind. I wanted to bring you this tutorial as it dey hot, so that is it. So you can see me when I'm now cutting that's in my neckline. My neckline will, because my fabric will be on fold, will be 4.5 plus half-inch allowance to attach my sleeve. Okay, so like I said, let's say this is your blouse. From here to here, this is on fold. From here to here will now be 4.5 plus half-inch, that's 5. You then do your slanting for your armhole. Okay, so I hope you got that. Let me explain it clearly. Your round shoulder, which is 38, minus your off shoulder length, sorry. Okay, so my off shoulder length is 20. That's 10 in front and at the back. Okay, I did -5, so -5 on the left, -5 on the right, that's 10 for the front, -5 on the left, -5 on the right, that's 10 for the back. 10 plus 10, 20. Okay, so that's what you use for your sleeve. Then for your neckline, you now subtract that 20 from 38, which is your round shoulder. Divide whatever answer you get by 4, and that will give you your neckline width for your off shoulder. I hope you understand that. So I'm going to go ahead and now apply this into our blouse. So after all that calculation, you place the fabric on fold, and we now want to mark out the neck width. So remember that after all our calculations, we got 4.5 as the neck width. I'm going to add half-inch to that, okay, because I'm going to sew my sleeve to it with half-inch. So I've marked 5 inches. Then I'll also go and place my tape at -4.5. Then I'll mark my chest line, which is 8 inches. Okay, so I'm going to curve from the neck width down to that 8 inches, like so. That's to create your armhole. The next will be to create the neckline depth, and I want the depth to be 1.5 inches deep. Okay, so I'll just mark 1.5 inches, then connect it to the neck width, like so. So that's how to create your neckline for neckline bustier, or for any type of bustier you're making. So this is it. I'll just cut to my neck width. Okay, then I'll bring it down to my chest line. So I hope you understood the calculation we did, because that's how to create your neckline. I hope you understood that, so that would help you make your neckline. So you can see how this looks, and the dart runs towards the neckline. You can see the darts on the neckline, so that's why it's called an off-shoulder neckline bustier. You can use this procedure for your traditional blouses, your madam blouse, whatever type of off-shoulder you're making, and you're using a straight dart. Right, so we want to make the lower part. I'm sure you already know that you go and use your lining to turn the upper part on the neckline and the side. So now I'm making the skirt part, and I've folded my satin fabric into 2, and I've marked the length as from the half length to the length of the dress. Okay, from the half length to the full length of the dress, that's the length of this satin that I have here. And for my folding, I'm using the biggest measurement, which is the hip, divided by 4 plus at least 6 inches, because we want to make it an A-line or a mermaid skirt, okay, for the lower part. Right, so I'm marking from the waist to the hip, okay, which is 10 inches. I also mark from the waist to the knee, which is 23 inches. So I'll just go and make a mark at 23 inches. Then from that point, I'll go up by 3 inches. Okay, this is because I don't want the curve for the mermaid dress, okay, to start directly from the knee. It's going to restrict movement and knock your knees together. So you make sure you go up by 3 inches. So that's what I've done here. Okay, please, you're going to be seeing so many hands, so many people asking questions, and me explaining it up and over and over and over again. I have students that I'm teaching, okay, and I'm also teaching you as well as I'm teaching them. Okay, so please ignore or bear with me while I try to explain these things over and over and over again to them, because I'm all about understanding what I'm all about my students understanding what I'm doing. Okay, that's the most important thing for me. So on the waist, then I'm going to mark the waist divided by 4 plus 3 inches, 2 inches allowance and 1 inch for my dart. Okay, that's why I'm adding 3 inches. You can see it is 2 inches allowance and 1 inch dart allowance. Okay, so that is it. On the hip line, I'm going to mark the hip divided by 4 plus 2 inches. The hip is 38 divided by 4 plus 2 inches allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and divide that and then place it. So you're still watching till now. I love you. Thank you. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. This is Learn to Sew with Noni, and here on this channel I upload fashion tutorials, sewing tutorials every week. So please join us, subscribe to my channel, turn your post notifications so that each time I upload a video you'll be notified. Okay, and please subscribe and share with your friends and family. So after marking connecting from the waist to the hip, I'm going to measure what I have on the hip. I'll mark the same thing on the knee line. Okay, so I'll mark exactly the same thing on the knee line. Then when I do that, I'll come in by 1.5 inches. That is to shape it, to give it that mermaid look. Okay, so I'm connecting from the hip to the knee. Okay, just to taper it down. Okay, then from there I will then flare it out to the length of the dress. Okay, towards where I marked the hip divided by 4 plus at least 5 inches allowance. Okay, so you just flare it down to the length of the dress or the skirt. Then afterwards you cut it out. Okay, so I'm trying for us to see the lower part. So you just go ahead and cut it out. Okay, making sure to follow the shape properly. Okay, so this is it. I also have a tutorial on my channel on how to make this mermaid skirt with back tail. Okay, so for this one I'm just going to be adding a tail to the back, but it's not going to be flowing out the length of the skirt. Okay, I don't know if you understand what I mean. I need to have a bit of tail at the back, but the client doesn't want the dress to be pouring on the floor while she walks. Just want to have tail at the back, but she doesn't want to have it flowing at the down part. So I'm just going to add tail to the back of this dress. Okay, but if you want to learn how to add train both to the back, okay, and also make it to be flowing on the floor, okay, I have a tutorial on that, and I'll be dropping the link in the description box. Now, so this is my fabric for the back. I've placed the front fabric on it, or the front pattern on it. Okay, so at the front and the back is the same length. Okay, but the width is going to be different because it's going to have a tail at the back, but it's not going to have a train that would pour on the floor. Okay, so if you want to have a train, you can make the back to be longer by at least 10 inches, 15 inches, depending on how wide or how long you want the train to be. So the back is longer by 5 inches, is rather by 9 inches. Okay, by 9 inches. Okay, so that's how I want the tail at the back, but there'll be no train, tail and train. Okay, so I'll go and mark out the knee line. Okay, transfer it to the back. Then I'll go up by 2 inches. Okay, so from that 2 inches I'm going to start marking my zip allowance at the back. I'm marking a zip allowance of 1.5. That's the same thing I added to the front, to the upper part. So I'm marking my zip allowance of 1.5. So I'll connect from the waist down to the knee. Okay, so on the knee line I'm going to measure, I have 1.5 inches of my zip allowance. I'm going to mark half of that. Okay, so I'm going to mark half, that's 0.75. Okay, then from there I'll fly it out to the 9 inches width. Okay, though the back is further by 9 inches, so I'm flying it out by 9 to that 9 inches width. That's for the tail at the back tail. Then I'll blend it up to the 1.5 inches zip allowance upwards. Okay, that's what I've just done. Then the sides would be the same shape. Okay, so I'll call this out. If you want to add a train to it, you can make the train to be longer by 10 inches. You just connect it to the sides. Okay, I have a tutorial on that on my channel. I'm going to drop the link in the description box. This one will just have a tail and no train. Okay, so the sides would remain the same, the hemline will remain the same, the upper part will remain the same. So I'll just go and cut, tracing exactly what I have on the front pattern. The only difference is the tail at the back. Okay, please ignore that banshee screaming in the background. Right, so I'm just going to cut like so. Make sure you follow exactly the same shape at the front side. Okay, like so. So I'm just going to go and transfer this both front and back to my lace fabric, and I'm going to join them together. Okay, attach the lace to the satin. You can use your gum, your hemming gum, to attach the lace to the satin. You can use your uhu gum, or you can also stitch the satin down to the lace. Then I'm going to join it to the upper part. Okay, so after joining all of that, this is what we have. Look at how beautiful and happy my client is looking. Look at the back. So you can see that train at the back, or the tail at the back. And this is it. This is the bust. You can see how it cups her bust area properly, and there's no so much activity going on there. Everything looks really nice. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. So I'll see you in my next one. Mwah. Bye. Love you. Subscribe.